Thanks.
All right. And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive. It is Thursday, February 22nd. I am Josh Engleman. I'm joined by Matt Belman. I couldn't even get through that one. It's been that long since I've done a show and had to do an intro. It's not that easy. You take a week off and everything sucks. We're brought to you by Playback. That's a big one. You can catch us on Playback right now. It's going to be a big night. We're going live for 2 hours. We're going live for an extra hour on Playback, sweating games, sweating bets, sweating our DFS plays. It's going to be a good time. We're going to talk about it throughout the show. We're live there right now if you want to go watch us. If you're interested, come check us out. But if you're here right now, that's also okay. Get ready to migrate to Playback, however, in the future. Also, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter. Now, what's going on? How was your break?
Break was good. Definitely feels like, longer than a week. Also, I'm sure once the slate starts tonight, it'll feel like, it was a 1 second break, but that's how stuff like this goes. Yeah. Excited to get back into it. I'm not a huge fan of this slate, but I have a feeling after we talk it out, I'll like it more because that's kind of what always happens.
It's a weird one. It's like there's value in a lot of places, but nobody other than to me, Keontae George, who I think is separating from the pack for like a weird reason. They didn't update his price. Everything else is just sort of in the eye of the beholder. And I find that to be very interesting for today.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you there. A lot of similar type plays, if you will.
Yeah. Lots of people saying, what's Playback? Who's Playback? Think about Playback like this. Let's say you have a cable subscription, or in this case, a League Pass subscription, or maybe, just maybe, you don't even have League Pass yet, and we might be able to have a little bit of a deal for you to get it, or we might even be giving away a little bit of League Pass tonight. That could happen for today if you want to become a VIP on Playback. But we're going to be on the stream the same way that you see us right now. Our faces, our voices, we'll be talking, but it's not on our normal overlay. We will be on top of the game itself. We're going to be watching live basketball, and we'll all be on the exact same stream. No lagging, no somebody seeing that shot go in 30 seconds beforehand. None of that. We all get the same experience, but we turn into the commentators. I think that's going to be pretty fun. We've done it a few times for the NBA Finals. If you were around for that, this was the same platform where Laffy and I were knocking back a bunch of cocktails, watching some finals games together, and some Eastern Conference, Western Conference finals games too. But that is what we're going to be doing tonight, after Live Before Lock, and for the rest of the year. So don't miss it. You ready to talk some basketball?
Yeah. I'm still working between the two streams. So yeah, certainly ready.
Ignore the other one. Ignore the other one.
Okay. All right. Yeah, man. Excited to talk out this slate for sure. I will say the two late games are awesome, but it would have made the slate crazy with them on it.
It would have been a very different experience for this entire slate. I'm not mad that they're gone. I would have preferred to cut these two 9 o'clocks because Wizards, Nuggets, and Hornets, Utah, those can go away for me as well, and I'd be cool with it.
It would have been a nice, I agree, actually. I didn't even think of it that way. It would have been a nice 8-game slate and then a 4-game late slate.
That would have been good.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be good, though. Well, interesting basketball game. Maybe not an interesting DFS game. The Orlando Magic are 8.5-point dogs in Cleveland. 216 total for this one. On the Orlando side, no Markelle Fultz. That's really the only piece of information to note for the Magic. We have Franz Wagner right around 10% ownership. We've got Jalen Suggs right around 10% ownership. And then just very scattered amounts of Wendell Carter Jr., Paolo Banchero. You liking anything here against your Cavs?
Nah. I mean, we're still waiting on the Banchero news, I believe. Came in questionable a few hours ago, so we'll see what happens there. Jonathan Isaac looks like a nice value play, even if Banchero's in, but there's nothing here that I'm excited about playing at all.
I like Suggs. 4,500 point guard, shooting guard with no Fultz around. You assume he can play a couple extra minutes, or at least, an extra minute or so. I have him in for 29. We have him in for 29. Just not having Fultz around to me, like sort of unlocks him a little bit. I don't think he looks exceptional, but he is the guy that I have my eye on. Obviously, if you want Franz or Paolo, like these are guys that you can just roster and use them as any sort of GPP pivot that you want to, but it's a pretty tough matchup.
What happens if Banchero's out for you?
Franz certainly looks quite a bit better. I feel a lot better about the take that I just had of Jalen Suggs. John Isaac probably becomes a real thing now. Not that he's just going to immediately soak up 30 minutes or something like that, but even if you're willing to give him 22, like that becomes a real projection for 3,500 power forward center. They probably just slide Franz down a bit. Maybe you see a little bit of Goga at that point. Not that you're unlocking him or anything, but you can bring in Mo Wagner as a pseudo four. They probably go to Caleb Houston. I don't. It's probably Isaac as the guy that gets any sort of real love. Would you see it any other way?
No, but I think I might like Isaac a little more than you because I agree he's never going to play 30 plus minutes. But it's not like Banchero's going to be out for a long time and they need to like plan for that. I think they can get 25 plus minutes if they need to out of Isaac on one night. You know what I mean? Knowing
Yeah.
that they're not going to have to go back there in a tough matchup where, you know, they're pretty big underdogs here. So I don't know. If Banchero is out, I like Isaac, but I think with the other guys, it makes them all look better, but probably not in like must play territory.
Yeah, I mean, even, let's call him a 0.95 fantasy point per minute guy. Let's say he plays 21 minutes. That's basically 20 fantasy points on the dot. That's 5.7x his salary, power forward center. Like that's going to be one of the better value options that you can get to. And you don't even have to give him any sort of lot. Like he could play his way into 2 or 3 more minutes and you can feel a little bit better about it. So I like that shout.
I would also probably like Mo Wagner if he wasn't only center eligible.
Yeah. Uh, Only center. I got him power forward center.
Oh, did I?
He's center eligible on FanDuel if you have the wrong table open.
Yeah, I think, yes, I did. Sorry about that.
No worries. So yeah, he does have the power forward eligibility there, 3,300. I just don't know how much, if he actually picks anything up or they kind of just add more to Goga as a rotation and like Mo Wagner just sort of plays alongside of whoever's out there at center.
Yeah, I'm with that. I think it's more just like Isaac will probably become the highest owned player on the slate. And it's just a direct pivot. So I should roll back and say, I should play it back, if you will, and say that I don't like Mo Wagner, but he's intriguing in the pivot sort of sense.
Agreed. Now, your Cavs. We go to Cleveland. Q tag on Donovan Mitchell. Did he tweet anything that indicates that he's playing today? I know he has that classic tweet where when he's questionable, he's in all but once in his entire life. But anyway, he's questionable. Everybody else is out. 23% ownership to Evan Mobley, 13 to Darius Garland, just 5 to Jared Allen, basically nothing to Donovan Mitchell. Well, let's start with Mobley because Mobley and Garland allegedly not under any sort of minutes restriction any longer.
Yeah, so Mobley was already playing really, really well at this price point, even not playing a ton of minutes now, no minutes limit. Who knows what that actually means, but I think there's a lot to like about him at 6,700. How about you?
So I'm dead neutral to the field on him right now at 6,700. I think he certainly looks like, I'm going to say the second best play from Cleveland because I am very heavy on Darius Garland. 5,900. If he's stepping into a couple extra minutes, do I love this spot? No. I mean, but like, doesn't Suggs, I don't normally look at like defensive matchups, but Suggs is going to go directly to Donovan Mitchell, no?
You'd think.
Which makes me like sort of like like in my mind, the justification feels better. I don't change anything for it. But we're not going to see Darius Garland be sub 6K again. He'll never have this price if these guys are healthy.
I agree with that.
But he's like, the ownership came up a little bit throughout the day, now up to 13%. I have significantly more, but as I look at it, I just feel like this is a spot where I want to grab this value, even if it is the last time. Because I just don't think there's a ton of other plays that look downright better than him at guard.
I also agree with that. I don't think he looks downright better than a lot of other plays though either. So
Agreed.
I'm with you because the ownership's not there. It's not
Yeah.
all about ownership, but all your other points made sense. Like
Hmm.
he's too cheap for playing full minutes. He's not going to be below 6K anytime soon after this, most likely.
Yeah.
So I'm with that.
After that, like I'm always okay to get Jared Allen. I do find Donovan Mitchell tough to get to today in this spot. But again, if Donovan Mitchell is the last guy, you have 9,600 left and he's your last guy in, I wouldn't tell anybody not to do it. But I think there's just going to be better options there. Do you like Allen or anything else?
No, I think they look kind of like the Orlando guys.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh God, here we go. Detroit Pistons, 12-point dogs in Indy, 246 total. We got the news just before this one started. Isaiah Stewart not going to make it for this one. He officially got the 3-game suspension. I was surprised he didn't try to appeal it and lose a game because I kind of figured he was playing today no matter what, but he's not. And we don't have a ton of ownership coming into the Pistons. I kind of feel like we should have a little bit more. It's around 10% for Asar Thompson, Cade Cunningham, and Jalen Duren. I have much bigger stands on Cade, on Duren. I'm over on Jaden Ivey, who I took on my prize picks video today. And I am now getting to a little bit of 3% owned Evan Fournier, 3,400 shooting guard, small forward. Very disgusting. What do you like for the Pistons?
Well, starting with Fournier, there just aren't good plays in that price point, which is why Isaac would become so popular, and Isaac is already in play. Fournier's in the rotation. Stewart being out probably doesn't matter for him, but it certainly can't hurt that Stewart's not playing tonight. So I'm with Fournier, knowing that he's just a cheap fill-in piece if you're trying to spend up elsewhere. There just aren't many options in that price point. The rest of the guys, I like in tournaments. Kind of like Garland, they don't stand out as opposed to other guys priced in their same price range or a little bit cheaper, but the upside is definitely here in this spot and the ownership's not. So that's intriguing in tournaments.
I don't want to play Evan Fournier, but it seems like I'm going to. I don't have much justification other than, if he's going to play 23 or 24 minutes, he's cheap and has a good position. And it's not like anybody from the Pistons should, like, how many people are going to talk him off the ball at this point? Is he the oldest guy in the lineup?
Gotta be.
I would imagine. I don't know how old Muscala is. He's been around for a minute. Certainly not
him.
Asar Thompson, Cade, Ivy, Duren, Wiseman, Sasser. None of those dudes, that's for sure. Fontecchio is older than he seems.
Probably, but Fontecchio is probably not old. Like Fournier seems on the outskirts.
Like 27 or 28, I think.
I would guess Fournier is 30. 30? Yeah, 31, I was going to say.
Do me a favor quickly. Google him.
No, thank you.
Help me out here. Chat, can you guys help me out and Google Evan Fournier to figure out his age? Your best bet to finding his age, though, is usually an image search. He's 31, by the way. I keep those pictures bookmarked, so it's not all that shocking. Yeah, I'm 2xing on Cade. I'm getting to quite a bit of Jalen Duren at 7K. And then I'm over on Ivy, over on Fournier, have a little bit of Asar Thompson. Don't have much else. A couple lineups with Fontecchio, but not a huge believer in him at 4,500. It's just a great game. I mean, 26th in defense for the Pacers, second in pace. It's a good spot as good of a spot for the Pistons as they're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like on both sides of this game. We'll talk about Indiana in a second. As far as Detroit goes, my biggest problem is that outside Fournier, who doesn't really count, he's just cheap. They're too cheap for their upside, but not for their median projection. So, like, if you're playing them, and they're not like cheap and like they're all 4K or 5K type, Duren, Cunningham, while they're too cheap for their upside, if you're using those guys, you're probably not getting all the way up. And I like getting all the way up tonight.
You have anything else you want to touch on for the Pistons?
No, sir.
Indiana Pacers have a Q tag on Jalen Smith. That's the only sort of real news that we're waiting on for the Pacers. We already know that Aaron Nesmith is out. We have 49% ownership coming into Benedict Mathurin, around 15 for Andrew Nembhard and Miles Turner. Scattered amounts to everybody else here. Let's start with the Mathurin piece, because I personally think that Doug McDermott is going to start this basketball game today. Even if Mathurin doesn't start, like I gave him 28 minutes, he's still in a half of my lineups, 4,500 shooting guard, small forward. He's a good play, but I'm of the assumption still that and we're going to get this because it's a 7:00 start. I think it's going to be McDermott. Have you given any thought to who you think starts for Aaron Nesmith?
A little bit. I didn't really have a great solution, so I haven't spent too much of my day. I've also been busy just doing a ton of other shit, so I haven't spent that much time, allocated to that specifically. I guess my biggest thought when I hear you say that is how much will you get to if he ends up starting?
I have 6% right now because I treated him basically like a starter that won't close. So I gave him 24 minutes. And I could move around on that one.
I meant if Mathurin is starting, how much do you think you'll get if you have 50% now?
That's an interesting thing because while I'll bump him, he will also go up in ownership across the industry.
True.
Is what my assumption will be. So I'm guessing probably somewhere in the same range because I'll just be like moving with the current at that point in time.
I'm with that. And it doesn't really matter. But the other thing I thought about when you said that is if Mathurin does not start, it makes me like Halliburton even more. Like you're taking a guy in Mathurin who wants the ball to a guy in McDermott who's just going to shoot. So I wrote up Halliburton today. He's interesting now. Like he's not overly expensive. 34 minutes in back-to-back games. He's been on record saying that he's hated the minutes limit. Not going to be surprised if he plays like even more tonight at all.
I'm sure it'll be like some random third starter that I haven't talked about, but so when Nesmith got hurt in the last game before the break, McDermott subbed in. Like Nesmith got hurt 30 seconds into the third quarter. They went to McDermott, and I feel like he just fits a starting lineup for these guys better. Like you already have Siakam out there. You already have Halliburton out there. Is having Mathurin in that spot better, or staggering all of these guys for the first couple quarters the path, and then eventually you get to whoever you find to be the 5 guys you want out there for the end of the game? To me, it's like get McDermott shooting out there and let Siakam and Halliburton cook.
I'm actually 100% with that. You know who Mathurin kind of reminds me of? Am I completely off here? Caris LeVert.
I haven't seen enough of them, if I'm being honest.
Okay, fair. And not even just like in exactly their games, but like what they can do and can't do. Like they're both microwave type scorers. Yeah. And they want the ball in their hands. And usually, those type of guys are better off coming off the bench because you've got, better players ahead of them, essentially.
I like the shout. Like it seems you wouldn't be surprised to see that sort of career path. I don't know. People will probably think that's like a slight to Caris LeVert.
Oh, really?
But
slight really. To Caris LeVert?
No, like to be compared to Caris LeVert. Like, I don't know. He's probably like a relatively polarizing guy for how successful a career is.
I think he's had a pretty damn successful NBA career, all things considered. Most people would want to trade with him. I wouldn't take it as a slight at all, but I'm with you. Like, I know how people are nowadays. And like Mathurin was like a top, 5 pick last year or 2 years ago? I can't even remember.
2 years ago.
Okay. So, I mean, listen, like, if he ends up being as good as Caris, like, I'll take Caris LeVert over Mathurin's career right now. Like, guys just usually aren't that good.
It's a decent chunk of money that you could lock in for the rest of your life, too, if you're taking that Caris LeVert deal.
Yeah, fair.
What else do you like for the Pacers here? Because they're obviously in a good spot against the Pistons.
Shouted out Halliburton. I like him here. Again, he's another one where if you play him, you're probably not getting to Luka. I also like Luka a lot, but Halliburton's a lot cheaper. I think it's almost like a buying low type situation, and the ownership's not there. A little bit confused why the ownership's not there at all.
I'll be honest with you. I think it's just one of those situations where everybody sort of looks so similar that it's not getting to anything. Like, getting to Jokic at the top, as I look at it right now, if I highlight everybody from Luka to 7,900, that's 23 players. Only one of them got to double digits in ownership, and that's Jokic. I think like no one is pulling away from anything.
That's wild.
Yeah. Like you got Booker, Mitchell, Halliburton, Brunson, Maxey, Irving. I read off all of those guys. They are in order of salary right now. So that whole area of guards is just really complicated. There's just too many choices.
There's a lot of choices, and just, Keontae George is getting a ton of love. We'll talk about
Yeah.
Utah obviously at the end, but those guys are all getting ownership. Mobley a little bit cheaper than that. So yeah, you're not wrong there. So I don't think it speaks to Halliburton at all. I think it kind of just speaks to the rest of the slate. That said, it does provide a unique way of building in tournaments that I don't think is bad at all. It probably doesn't project quite as well, but the upside is just as high or not higher, building around a guy like Halliburton.
Did you have anybody else from the Pacers?
No.
Schedule for the rest of the day. Very simple. NBA Live Before Lock coming up next. Make sure you're hitting the like button if you're watching on YouTube. And I don't know if there are likes on playback, but find that button and hit it if you haven't done it yet. And then we're going live 7 o'clock on playback. Myself and Greg will kick that one off, but we're going to have Aton popping in. I know Ben I believe is going to pop in at some point in time. We're going to be building bets. We're going to be sweating prize picks cars. It's going to be a good time. You guys don't want to miss it. Links are going to be in chat, in the description. If you're looking for more about playback, it's not going to cost you anything to come and check us out. That's for sure. And we're going to have tons of giveaways, which I'll touch on in a little bit. Also, use our avatar, stokastic.com/avatar. Grab the logo, use it on DraftKings, FanDuel, Owner's Box, Yahoo. Finish in the top 3 of a contest with 5,000 or more entries. The only thing you have to do is tweet that result at Stokastic HOF. It's going to get you 1 month of whichever package you're looking for at Stokastic, except for the all sports package. You can get the NBA Sims package for a month, projections, ownership, Sims, Discord, and more. And it costs you absolutely nothing. You just got to use our logo. New York Knicks, 1-point dogs in Philadelphia, 228 total. Obviously, the Knicks are walking wounded right now, but nothing crazy hanging in the balance for us, at least. It could have been a lot worse. Probable tag on Boyan, probable tag on Hartenstein. No OG, Randall, or Mitchell Robinson. No ownership to these guys either. 7% to Brunson is the high mark. 8% optimal to Brunson is the high mark. Do you like anything from the Knicks?
I was saying it last week before the break that the Knicks are like unplayable right now, and they're going to become like the most unplayable team ever when Randall comes back, because they're already too expensive. Like I know Brunson's become that this year, but Randall's been their main guy offensively for a while. He's still right behind Brunson, if nothing else. So I don't know. I know that's kind of, in the future, but for tonight, there's nothing I like here.
I got to 10% of Brunson. That's just Brunson, I guess. I don't really have anything else here for the Knicks. Yeah. He's good. And I'm fine with that. And like decent enough spot. I like him going to Philly, Villanova dude. Maybe that bodes well for playing in Philadelphia, but that's just a phony narrative for me, at least. And then on the Philly side, we just got the Philly starting lineup in. Nick Batum back in the starting lineup. Maxey, Hield, Harris, Batum, Reed. So we're going to be getting Oubre off the bench. There's no ownership coming into these guys. 6% to Buddy Hield, 8% optimal to Buddy Hield. Do you like anything from Philly?
No. They're healthy now, minus Embiid. Lowry's available tonight. Who knows how much he plays, but I think he'll at least play a little bit. So this game is Nick. Okay, so Lowry and Batum will have their minutes monitor. Means nothing to me. No, nothing from Philly I'm excited about at all. One of the least interesting teams and games on the slate.
Yeah, they have a very little aggregate ownership. Philly and the Knicks combined for 30%. That is the second lowest combination of any two teams other than Dallas and Phoenix, which we will get to. But for now, we will continue moving along. Brooklyn, 1.5-point dogs in Toronto, 231 total. This one doesn't look too much different. 8% ownership coming into Mikal Bridges, who I feel like you and I are always just like, well, if you play him at 7,300 shooting guard, small forward, that's a totally reasonable thing to do. And that's about how I feel today. He's the only one north of 2.5% ownership. He's the only one north of 5% optimal. Do you like anything from Brooklyn?
Yeah, Mikal Bridges. And I don't love him, but I like him. I mean, it's the same story on repeat, right? He's a little bit too inexpensive. Certainly for his upside, he's too inexpensive. So Yeah, he's the one piece where I could play here. Not a must play, but in play.
Yeah, I got 12% of Bridges, so right around the field. Basically, don't have anything else here from the Nets, and that's exactly how I see it. You want to get like, is Cam Thomas going to take every shot he can? Yeah, if that's interesting to you, that's fine in a GPP. Wouldn't exactly be a cash game play for today.
Dennis Schroeder revenge.
Speaking of, because we do have him here, new coaching in Brooklyn.
Oh,
They're alive to do wild
yeah.
shit today.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up because I thought about that all yesterday and then slipped my mind a little bit. I think we don't know what the effect is going to be, but I did read that, like, I don't know how much deep diving you did into this, that players like Bridges specifically were upset about Jack Vaughn's offense and just how stagnant it was. Like, if nothing else, maybe he feels more free tonight. And I don't know about his minutes or anything. I mean, that's such a stupid narrative. I'm not playing it because of that, but like,
Yeah.
I think it helps them more than hurts them, is all I'll say.
Yeah, and like he could do anything for the rotation. I said it this morning. Like if you found out Dennis Smith Jr. was starting at the point today, would you be surprised? Like they don't have any allegiance to Dennis Schroeder right now. They could also play Schroeder 34 minutes at point guard, and I wouldn't be surprised by that. They can move these dudes around a lot. I said Lonnie Walker could play 0. He could play 24. Neither one of those things would shock me at all. I don't know. I don't think any of it's actionable is the problem.
I agree. But I will also say, like, speaking on Bridges just a little bit more, he's the one guy I like. I like that the head coaching change. I don't think it hurts him at all. And then also, they're coming off 2 back-to-back games in Boston, or one at home, one in Boston, where they just got destroyed, especially in the last game. I think that's bringing their price down here a little bit. Just their two most recent games. I'm sure Bridges wasn't particularly good in either of them. Matchup's different here. The Raptors are not good defensively right now. So the more we talk about it, and I know that it's not like he's different than any other slate we've talked about, I like Bridges here. He's coming in with nice leverage. He's like, I would be surprised if at 7,300 he hurts your lineup. And I think there's a lot of upside there.
I agree. Now on the Toronto side, this team just looks weird. Only guy north of double digits in either optimal rate or ownership is RJ Barrett, oddly enough, 6,900 shooting guard, small forward. And then basically everybody else is like 6% owned. I have a little bit of Gary Trent because he's 4K. I do have RJ Barrett, who's like a guy that I permanently get, which I don't love. Is there anything that you do like from Toronto?
No, just not a team that stands out to me. I like them more than like some of the other teams that we've talked about that have just been straight passes for me, but nothing stands out. I think Barrett looks the best.
Yeah.
Fair price point. Not like I'm not overly excited to spend 6,900 on Barrett, but I think it's fair. So
yeah,
I'm fine with pieces of Toronto, the same pieces, like they're good guys, but nothing that I need to roster at all.
Now we're on the same page. We're talking about two teams that like 21st and 24th in net rating on the season. They're all like 20th in offense, 20th in defense. It's just like a lot of meh for the day.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of meh, this is the game with the lowest amount of ownership on the slate. Phoenix Suns, 1.5 point dogs in Dallas, 244 total. You would think this would be great. 2% ownership to either Durant, Nurkic, or Beal. Those are the highest marks on the slate for the Suns. 3.7% optimal to Yusuf Nurkic. These guys just all have the correct price tag. And on a day where I feel like everybody is $100 underpriced, no one's getting to Phoenix. Doesn't feel good, though. Like, you look at it and you're like, oh, they're unowned. Should I game stack Phoenix, Dallas?
You can't, though, because the only players you want to roster in this game are the studs. That's the problem with
they're all
teams.
9K.
Right. That's the problem with it. It's not like all these guys are over too expensive, but a lot of other guys are too cheap. And these teams do not have any role players on a 10-game slate that you want to play.
I don't have a single share of anybody from Phoenix right now.
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix looks similar to Dallas to me. I think I like Luka most out of all of them. Well, I do like Luka most. The Phoenix guys, like, especially Booker and Durant, they're elite scorers. So on any given game, they have upside, whatever their price is, really. But it's kind of a fool's errand to try to pick that game out.
And one thing to remember for this one, Bradley Beal is still questionable. They can look a little bit better if he ends up getting ruled out.
Sure, then maybe a role player like Grayson Allen might become in play.
Yeah, Eric Gordon,
Sure.
slightly more value than you would have had before. Maybe Dorian, or yeah, I almost said Dorian Finney-Smith. Close enough. Royce O'Neal,
Yeah.
whatever, you get it.
Sean
And then on
Marion.
the opposite side, we do have a little bit. Yeah, I wish. We got around 8% ownership, 8% optimal for both Luka and Kyrie. Small amount of ownership and optimal rate coming into PJ Washington. The Dallas side looks better than the Phoenix side, but even that seems kind of marginal. If I'm getting anywhere, I want to get to Luka, but I think it's kind of easier to get to Jokic.
I lost you. I don't know if it's me. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Hmm. Well, might be you.
Now I can, yeah, I think it was me. I just took my headphones out. I was having a
All
little
right,
bit of problems with that earlier too, so my fault.
no worries. I'm back. You're back.
Yeah.
I'll talk through Dallas for a second. You do what Jordan's asking you to do, and then let me know when we're good. It's really just these two guys, though, for Dallas. You've got Luka, who's playing in that 1.75 fantasy point per minute range. You're getting like 38 minutes in a competitive matchup. Obviously, Phoenix and Dallas have a little bit of history, so and competitive matchup in terms of the line. You expect to get the full freight in playing time for either Irving and or Doncic. But at the same time, 12-1, that is a massive price tag on a day where we really do have a loaded upper tier of players. We just don't have you draw that line at Jokic, but below that, SGA, Durant, Tatum, Booker, Mitchell, Halliburton, Brunson, Maxey, Irving. And then we're not even talking about the 8Ks. Like, it's pretty easy to work your way into that range if you want to. And then you just also have this situation where, for the most part, I don't think you're going to see a lot of Luka plus Jokic lineups. So you're also already drawing a line in the sand of, I need to choose one of these two guys first and hope you just have to hope Luka beats Jokic or you're already in trouble. PJ Washington looks okay to me. I don't have a single share of anybody else. Do you like anything more than I do on Dallas?
So I think I like Luka more than you, but I know it's not a you don't like Luka thing. For me, like, there is value on this slate, and it's not about playing him over Jokic, for me at least. I like Jokic more than Luka, but I do think playing them together is viable. Hard to do, but viable. And I think that if you can make it work, I like the idea of playing both of them together. I mean,
Yeah.
again, no one is going to say that that's ever a bad idea. So you have to find the right value pieces, but it's doable. The problem with it is then, like, you're not playing any of those guys in the mid tier, really. Like, even like a Darius Garland at that point becomes hard to get to. He's like,
you're getting a very specific construction after that.
yes, you are. I hate that. Like, I know you always say that, and it always talks me off it because you're so right. Like, because your player pool is just limited when you do that.
Anything else for Dallas?
No, again, they're similar to Phoenix. Kyrie, again, always has upside, but on any given game when Luka's in where he's priced, can't prioritize him. It's Luka or bust for me from Dallas.
All right, folks. 25 minutes to go until we get to live before lock. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Here's the deal on Playback. I touched on it a little bit earlier. Playback.tv/stochastic is going to get you where you want to be. We'll have links and everything in our live before lock chat. It probably in our description. You'll be able to find out where you need to go. But this is going to be our new mechanism post-lock for us to hang out with you, have some sweats, check out different games. League Pass is going to be playing in the background. We're giving away a ton of stuff. An NBA Sim sub. We're giving away lineup generator subscriptions. We're giving away odd shopper subscriptions. We have now the ability to hook some people up with some League Pass subs. We can have people become VIPs so they can see what we're seeing. We also now have a deal in place that we can sell League Pass subscriptions. So you could buy League Pass through us if you're interested. $49.99 for this. I'm looking at it right now. You get 7 days free, $49.99 for the season. You can get the League Pass Premium, 7 days free, $75 for the rest of the season. Very easy to get if you don't have it already. I know DraftKings gave it out to a lot of people earlier in the season, but if you haven't picked it up yet, plenty of mechanisms to get to League Pass if you want to get yourself access to every single NBA game. But basically, you're going to be watching us call the action. Now, we're not going to be doing a lot of play-by-play. We're going to be talking about the bets that we have from earlier in the day, the lineups that we might be sweating. We'll build some parlays on the stream if you're interested. And we don't know. This is the first day that we're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing it every single day for the rest of the season. So any ideas that you guys have, hit us with them. We're happy to explore our studio space at Playback. The platform is fantastic. The idea of all of us watching the same game together, and we can bounce back and forth to games if we want to. The moment a game takes a timeout or goes to the end of a quarter, we could hop to another one immediately, and everyone is getting the exact same experience. So check us out. Links are going to be all around. Jordan's dropped a link in there now. If you don't follow Greg on Twitter, go search for him. He's got some more details on some of the giveaways. So if you're interested, the first giveaway needs to be a like and a retweet to his post to enter. So go hunt down Greg's tweet if you haven't found it yet. Boston Celtics, 8.5-point favorites in Chicago. This seems like the standard Boston special. White, Brown, Tatum, Holiday, and Porzingis, all the guys that you can roster if you want. None of them have more than 4% ownership. None of them have higher than 5.5% optimal. Do you have a specific Celtic that jumps out?
No. I mean, the Celtics are another one of these teams that are really hard to get to. I mean, now they're healthy. No.
I'm so ooh, Jordan, I know why mine got unmuted. So I should stop echoing in playback now. Just saw that DM. So that should cover us now. I don't know how it got unmuted, but it got unmuted. That will definitely be my problem. Yeah, I don't know how you ever pick these Boston guys. I feel like you're only able to ever roster Boston when they've got a guy out.
I agree. Side note, I don't know if you've seen this at all, but obviously Doc Rivers has been coming out with quote after quote this whole week. There's this account Sixers Geo, and all it is Doc Rivers reveals. So
I saw a bunch of them, he was against he knew Walter White was going to be the meth seller and stuff. I saw some of that stuff.
He reveals he told the 49ers to defer the ball in overtime.
It's so good.
So good.
It's so good. David Wayne's got to go. Picking Boston guys is like trying to decide between Montgomery and Gibbs. Yeah, that feels familiar.
Yeah, that feels too familiar.
The Bulls side of this one, we have no Torrey Craig. We still have no Zach LaVine, obviously. We got 10% ownership coming into Dosunmu, around 10 for DeMar, around 15 for Vooch. Do you think they're going to start Drummond here? Because it feels like they can't start Drummond and Vooch against the Celtics.
I don't think they can. It's just not the spot for it. If the Celtics can play big, but they're not necessarily built like that type of team at all. No, I don't think Drummond starts. I don't have a lot of interest in Chicago. They're fairly priced, but they're priced right in the same tier as all the Detroit guys and getting more ownership. I'd rather play Detroit than Chicago. I know it's not a 1-for-1, but I like that call out you had earlier in the show.
I have a little bit of Vooch, a little bit under the field though at 16%. I'm a little bit over on DeRozan. I have 14%. He's projected for 8. We did get the Nets starting lineup. Simmons, Thomas, Bridges, Finney-Smith. I assume Claxton starting at the center, but it was cut off on my watch. But that would be the weirdest shit in the world if he was the one that got yanked from that starting lineup. I hate that starting lineup so much for the Nets. I don't know what they're doing here. There we go. Isaiah Hartenstein will have a minutes guideline if he plays. Yeah, the guideline is you get 48 of them from Tibbs.
Yeah.
I don't have much else here from Chicago. My only question to you is this. If at 7:31 you know that Andre Drummond is starting, does that open him up to you at 6,100?
I think definitely. Just because he's always a guy, it doesn't really matter the matchup. I mean, sure, you prefer him in a better matchup than this, but he's one of the best DFS players ever, just at what he does. how DraftKings and FanDuel reward rebounds and block shots. And it's always easy for him to get easy buckets. So, yeah, if he's starting, he's definitely in play. I don't think he's like a must play in this spot, but anytime he starts, as long as he's not like the 9K or whatever we saw earlier this year, and he sometimes could be in play in those spots too, he's in play.
Stupid minutes guideline. Obviously, for anybody that's curious, whatever that information about minutes guideline is, I would not anticipate seeing a single thing change to any projections anywhere from that information.
Nor should it really.
No, it couldn't be more meaningless.
No.
I wouldn't trust Tibbs to tell me his takeout order. I don't believe him. He's just going to lie about everything. Houston Rockets, 7-point dogs in New Orleans, 229 total. Not a lot of love coming in here either. 5% ownership to Fred VanVleet, 8% optimal to Fred VanVleet. By the way, Fred VanVleet back after missing some time. Q tag on Reggie Bullock, as if that matters. Do you like any bits from Houston today?
Not really. They look like another one of these teams where their good players are in play. VanVleet is cheap. I like the Garland call more than VanVleet, who's even cheaper. They're similar to me, both too cheap from their average price point. Won't see these guys probably this cheap for much longer. So I like VanVleet in that regard. They're, the Jalen Greens, Senguns of the world are always in play based on their upside, but they don't stand out at all on this slate. So not really. Houston looks like pretty bad spot.
We are learning live. First draft at this. We're trying to get it all figured out. Matt, can you hear me now in your headphones?
I can.
Perfect. On to the New Orleans Pelicans. Oh, gotcha. Oh, yeah, that's how I was. I got unmuted on playback because I unmuted on playback. That was the entire goal. Pelicans have a Q tag on Brandon Ingram, which is incredibly important information here. 15% ownership coming into Zion, 12 to Herb Jones. Do you like the Pels if Ingram is in? What do you like if he's out?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't expect to like Zion a ton. He really looks good, though. Under 8K, playing well. Looks good with Ingram in. But the thing is, if Ingram's out, he looks elite. So,
yeah,
I think New Orleans is definitely a team to target here. I don't love them, but they do look a lot better than like pretty much every team we've talked about, but Indiana and Detroit to me so far. So, yeah, I like Zion. I think Zion's the only guy that I really like with Ingram in. If he's out, it opens up the Herb Jones, Troy Murphy's. I think Alvarado is in play no matter what at 3,400. Yeah. But if Ingram's out, I think he looks really, really good because I don't think the ownership will be there. And keep in mind, they don't have Dyson Daniels. I know you know that, but I'm talking to everyone out there. So Alvarado has already shown that he's going to pick up some, if not all of those minutes. With Ingram out, they need more ball handlers. So Alvarado at 3,400, like with Ingram in, I think he's really close to Fournier. With Ingram out, I'd rather play Alvarado, albeit at a much tougher position, in terms of just being point guard eligible.
I have a lot of Herb Jones right now, and I don't really know what's driving it. I don't hate it. Like he's that, like it's a price tag that fits. His minutes have been up a little bit, but
you know what I really like about Herb Jones? It's almost like the Mo Wagner thing from earlier. Mathurin is projected to be one of the highest owned players on the slate. Grant Williams is going to get love. Those guys are the same exact price, basically.
Yeah, that is an interesting price point for today. Huh. I want to take a look at that in my chart to see. Yeah, so you got Grant Williams at 45, Mathurin at 45. Even Nembhard at 44 is interesting. And then you've got Jones at 46.
Of course, George 47.
Yeah. So even like I like Suggs in that range at 4,500. That's a busy range.
A lot of the ownership is coming from that range.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I mean, Keontae George in a big way, but I think we were probably in agreement. Like he deserves every bit of what he's getting.
I like him a lot more than I like Matherin.
Same. Anything else for the Pelicans in this spot?
No, just important news with Ingram. I kind of expect him to play, but who knows?
Same. And we go to the Clippers and OKC. This is a game that most people should want to watch if you're basketball fans. Clippers are 1-point dogs in Oklahoma City, 235 total. Now, there's no ownership coming into this Clippers team. 4.5% to Zubats is the high mark for the Clippers. 7% optimal to Kawhi. So we're seeing a little bit of positive leverage for the stars for the Clippers. But to me, this sort of just looks like Phoenix, where, like I know the guys that I could get to, but nobody really looks that great.
Phoenix and Boston, add the Clippers to that list.
Yeah, I got one share of Zubats, one share of Kawhi. If I was giving it to anybody, it would be Kawhi. But even then, I don't think we're really missing anything here.
The Clippers and Boston specifically are too good for their own good, DFS wise, that is.
Yeah.
Obviously, they'll take it. But for DFS purposes, like, they just have so many good players that they're all expensive, and without injuries, it's hard to get to them. Paul George at 8K, I think would be my favorite, just because he's another one where like that's cheap for who he is, but
Yeah.
that's kind of just, picking at straws, if you will.
Then on the OKC side, we're getting 11% ownership to Jalen Williams. It's single digits across the board for everybody else. Jalen Williams got to 8% optimal. Everybody else is in that 3 or 4 range. I would happily take some SGA, but like it's no different than looking at Halliburton and thinking like, well, how is nobody playing him? It's just because there's 10 other point guards that are all within $1,000 of them, and it's really difficult to separate those guys from each other. So by all means, like play Shea in a spot with the Clippers coming to OKC so he could rub it in their faces that they traded him. But I think Jalen Williams is the only guy that I'll have any sort of volume to. And even then, I'm just with the field.
I'm with you, especially on Shea. Like you mentioned it earlier, like right after I talked about Halliburton, you brought up Jalen Brunson, who's in that exact same price range, also not getting ownership. These guys look exactly the same for how they're priced. So I don't fault anyone for playing Shea as their guy. The thing I like about this slate, especially for if you're multi-entering, there's a lot of ways to get different because no star except Jokic, as you mentioned at the beginning, is getting any love.
No, and even Jokic's love is not like crazy ownership either. He's not in. I mean, we're talking about what was it? 19% ownership. That's 81% of lineups in the large field contest not having Nikola Jokic. Like there's not a lot of heavy ownership coming in there. You don't have to feel like you need to get away from that at that rate.
He's just pulling ownership compared relative to the other guys, but you're right. He's not really pulling ownership either.
No, it's all relative.
Yeah.
Anything else here from OKC other than I'm telling everybody, this is the game you want to, if you're watching basketball tonight, you're going to buy a League Pass subscription, this is the way to do it.
I agree. I mean, this is the game of the night, two elite teams. Clippers are my favorite to win it all right now. So I like them a lot.
Final thing I have to talk about. You guys don't want to miss this. We're obviously have a ton of giveaways that are going to be going on Playback tonight. But if you just want to sign up at Stochastic, buy 2 months of any individual sports sim package, get another month free. It ends today. This is your shot. Buy 2 months of the NBA Sims package, you get another month for free. That's going to take you all the way towards the end of May. We're deep in the playoffs at that point. If you want it to be the PGA Sims, that'll take you through 2 majors. And again, through the end of May. To me, great deal. If you're going to buy it anyway, this is an incredible deal for you because you're going to save a bunch of money. And if you've been on the fence, this will lock you into a much cheaper price tag over the next 3 months. This covers projections, ownership, contest generator, the Sims tool itself, the ability to get into our premium Discord, all of that stuff would be covered for you. Again, Buy 2 months, get one free. You see it on the screen right now. There's NASCAR, there's MMA. If those stand out, if they seem a little bit better to you, if you already have NBA and you wanted to pick up another one, this is the way to do it. But it ends today. If you don't get it in today, you will not get that deal. Washington, 15-point dogs in Denver, 232 total. I hate this so much. I really hate this Wizards team. I'm very over them in general. 10% ownership to Tyus Jones, single digits across the board. I'm getting to the man on the heater, Denny Avdia. He's in 18% of my lineups. I actually have a bit of Kuzma at 2% ownership. If it's going to be competitive, they're the types of guys that I would like to get to for large field contests. I don't really see a priority coming out of the Wiz, though.
Same. They look eerily similar to many other teams we've talked about today. I would compare them most to a team like Chicago, I guess. Like just in a bad spot. Bunch of decent players. No one special at all. Talent-wise, I'd go Chicago. I think the spot's a little better for Washington. It doesn't really matter. My favorite piece of the Wizards, I think it's Marvin Bagley, as disgusting as that sounds.
I get it. He's going to have to play a ton of minutes.
Yeah, that's all it is.
I have 8%. He's in my lineups for sure. I have no problem with it. I do want to shout out OB96 said blackout restriction, so I can't watch the Clippers game. I'm pretty sure I'm right with what I'm about to say, but hold me to nothing. In a situation where, let's say that Clippers game was tipping off at 7 and we were going to be live on playback, you would not be blacked out watching it with us. So think about that one moving forward. It's not going to apply for today. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe Greg stays live past 8 o'clock and you're watching Clippers OKC. I can promise you that I won't be there. But in the future, I believe it'll stop you from getting blacked out. Now, watching the Wizards might make you get blacked out on purpose, or you could just watch the Denver side of it and feel a little bit better. 19% ownership coming into Nikola Jokic. Around 8 for Gordon, single digits to MPJ, not much for Jamal Murray. Let's just have the conversation. How do you feel about Jokic? How do you feel about him in relationship to Luka Doncic?
I like him slightly more, just because he's now 500 cheaper. It's not that big of a difference, but I actually also think point guard is a more loaded position than center today. So I think that while there are more spots to roster Luka at, it's only one more. And there's a bunch of point guards we've talked about that are viable. So I think Jokic gets the edge. Really close. I like both of them a lot. I think playing both of them together is in play. I think playing one of them is in play. I think playing neither of them is in play. If I'm choosing right now, I like Jokic more. But I think you could also say that, I would not be surprised at all if this game gets out of hand, whereas the Phoenix-Dallas game should be close.
Yeah, Denver should they should just be able to smush Washington here and not let them do anything. And, maybe there's something to believe of like Denver trying to kick it into high gear and like get their team in order as they start to ramp up for the playoffs, whereas Washington will likely be doing the opposite sort of situation. Right now, I basically don't have much of any of these guys. I do have a little bit more Luka than Jokic, but when it comes to them, I'll take whoever I can get. Like, obviously, Jokic looks great here against the Wizards and the Marvin Bagley front court.
Yeah, I don't think you need to say anything more on that.
No, it's pretty obvious. All right, final game. Charlotte Hornets, 9.5-point dogs in Utah, 228 total. We have 20% ownership coming into Trey Mann. We have 15% coming into Grant Williams. Scattered ownership to the rest of these guys. We did get Trey Mann in the double digits in optimal. It's clearly a great spot. Utah defense, not good. They play at a relatively fast pace. What do you like for the Hornets?
I like everything and nothing at the same time. I think this game has so many. This game is filled with volatility. I'm not exactly sure what to expect here. I think that both defenses suck. So at first glance, there's a lot to like from this game. Utah is getting a little bit more ownership, but Charlotte also looks good. You talked about Grant Williams getting love, Trey Mann. Those guys look really good here. Like, You play Mann, Williams, and Keontae George. You're pretty much doing basically whatever you want with your other 5 spots. This game looks appealing, not going to lie. I don't want to like it as much as I do. And if I end up with not a lot of Charlotte, I won't be mad. But I can also see myself playing 2-3 guys from Charlotte.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a couple guys from Charlotte, but I don't have a ton of any one individual dude. This is just a good matchup. The Utah side, on the other hand, is a little bit different. 50 something percent ownership coming into Keontae George, who is 4,700. We've got 30% coming into Colin Sexton, 30% coming into Walker Kessler, another 10 to 15 on Markkanen, Collins, Clarkson. It's like they forgot these guys were playing today and just left their prices to like pre-trade deadline levels, including Keontae George, who at 4,700 has the most broken price tag of anybody on today's slate because there's no reason he should have it any longer. Well established what's going on now for the Jazz post deadline. I think he's very clearly the first guy you put into any lineup you can find. If you get Mathurin as the starter, I think they're like co-options just because of positions, but those two guys will be the lock button cash plays that you can get to. What do you want to do with Keontae George in GPPs?
I want to play him.
Yeah.
I don't think if you're fading him, I don't think it's the craziest play in the world. Not because there's other guys in his price range, just because there's tons of good spend up options at point guard. So I think an alternate way of building is to spend up at point guard and utility and then spend down elsewhere. That said, I think you're losing a lot projection wise because George projects so well. And as someone who plays limited lineups, I'm probably just going to play him because he's just too cheap. And there's 7 other spots to get different with. Like, I'm not trying to build the most unique lineup. I'm trying to win 100K.
Yeah. How do you feel about the rest of these guys? Because I'm pretty well neutral on the Sexton ownership. I'm pretty much neutral on the Walker Kessler ownership. Little light on Collins and Clarkson. Pretty big stand on Lauri Markkanen, though. I have 26% of a 10% owned Markkanen. I love that for today.
Yeah, I like him a lot. He looks good here. I mean, you talk about like a game stack, Phoenix and Dallas. This is a game you can actually stack. I think that taking a risk with like the expensive Charlotte players, Bridges, Brandon Miller, those guys don't project well. But if this game is close, I think you could see those guys have outlier games. And that certainly applies to Markkanen here, who's actually priced right in between those two. Yeah. He's my second favorite guy behind George, right there with Sexton probably. I like Walker Kessler, but I also think what that's doing is squeezing out John Collins, who's interesting to me.
I don't get Collins right ever, and I didn't get him right on last Friday or last Thursday for my Prize Picks card. I don't really know what it is. Like, he looks solid to me. I have some of him, but I always end up under the field. And he's been playing 1.25 DraftKings points per minute over the last 30 days. He's been great.
The problem for me with Collins is like he's now at a price point where he can kill your lineup doing typical John Collins stuff. He's no longer cheap enough where like you can kind of get away with that. He's at a price point now where like you need production. So he's risky, but he kind of fits in like the expensive Charlotte guys boat for me.
Sure. Yeah, like I certainly am going to have some of him, some of Clarkson. I don't like, I'm not going to get to Taylor Hendricks or Chris Dunn or THT or anything like that, but they've got a legitimate 6-man group of guys that you should be getting to. And another benefit to getting to Charlotte and Utah in this situation opens you up for whatever swaps you need at 7:30 and 8 o'clock. Having additional exposure to the late games is never going to hurt you.
That is true.
Anything else you want to add before you and I get out of here and we turn this one over to the live before lock crew?
No, that's all I got.
There it is, folks. Thank you for joining us. Go nowhere. Make sure you hit that like button if you want to unlock live before lock. That is going to be the way that you get to see it. Stay right on this stream for live before lock. And if you're in Playback's room already, thank you for being there. On Playback, I'll see you guys in about an hour. You're about to get live before lock now. Good luck, everybody. We'll talk to you later.
We're back, baby. Inducting you fine friends into the Stochastic Hall of Fame and giving away a lot of free month subscriptions. Any package of your choosing up to $200. And all you got to do to get involved, get inducted, get your free month, get your free Sims package is download the Stochastic avatar at stochastic.com/avatar. Tweet us your wins at Stochastic HOF when you finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more. Doesn't matter if it's a 5-cent entry or 500 and you are in. We kick this week off with Dave Oliver, Elway's Army, back again. Thanks for the great analysis. Sims just simply the best. $3,500 win in the NBA Showdown. And then the professor, The Sims tool is legit. Yes, sir. $4,000 for the professor. And Jorge's back. He was just in here for the NFL. Now, finally made it into the NBA Hall of Fame. Stochastic Sims took down the 20 max. I'll take second place. Thanks to the crew and the valuable information during the shows. Congrats, Jorge. And our own CEO, Tom Kennedy. Double or nothing on the Chiefs. And yeah, the lineups were built and swapped with the Stochastic Sims tool. What's that, a $51,000 win, a $5,000? Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty nice night for Tom, as well as John Good. Another great night last night with the Sims tool. 9th in the big tourney as well. You guys rock. $1,000. First place in the 10K mini max. And Jay Lutzy back again. Good night sweat. All thanks to your help from ownership projections for a single game 15 minutes before. $2,500 for Jay Lutzy. And South Jersey beer scene. Hey, Stochastic, you might be on to something with this Sims thing. 3rd week in and stat correction away from a takedown. Thanks to the team, especially all of those fellas. And for the hours of content, cheers. Nice win for South Jersey beer scene. Ron Koth took 3rd in the 12K Friday NBA pick and roll with only 8 entries. Thanks to Stochastic and Josh Engleman for all the good info. Tyler Shaughnessy woke up this morning feeling like a champ. Big ups to the crew. The $1,900 win for Tyler as well. A little NFL action to close out the season in the Super Bowl. And PJ Allen decided to start doing the 50-cent mini max after living in the jukebox and dime world forever. First contest was Saturday, took 16th. This is Sunday and Mondays. Thanks to everyone at Stochastic, especially the guys on Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock. You guys are awesome. Second place, $250 for PJ Allen. And Stormamu landed second place in the FanDuel pick and roll thanks to the team and their help. Can't wait to try the Sims. You got it, brother. You got it. You're in. The Lulis card. Stochastic has the best tools in the game. Showdown takedown, $250 first place in Showdown. And Freddie P. If the sorry Bucks could have kept this game a little closer, good night overall. We'll take it. $750 second place for Freddie. And Brian Miller, shout out to the process. Josh getting some love on this one. Deeper Dive Live Before Lock crew for the insight. After a couple chopped large field first, a solo first, $3,000, and 3rd in this $4,700 field single entry. Maybe I can finally get hooked up with a sub. We got you, brother. 4,700's close to 5,000. Close enough. And they took down another one. Big thanks to the Deeper Dive Live Before Lock crew. Best in the game. Close it out with John. Hope this counts. Hey, if it's 5,000 or more, like I said, doesn't matter if it's the quarter jukebox or the fadeaway. You're in, brother. Shout out to everybody who's been inducted. Welcome back if you've been here before. Hit us up at support@stochastic.com. Get that free month, $200 value, whatever sports you want. And don't forget, rock that Stochastic avatar wherever it is you're playing.
What is happening, everybody? Welcome to the Stochastic NBA Live Before Lock show. And I could really not be more excited about this today because we're sponsored here by Playback, and I am getting a where am I? Okay, there we go. All right, we're working through some tech issues here, but figuring it out on the fly here. I'm an absolute donkey when it comes to figuring out my audio, my mic settings, but we're figuring out as we go here. If you guys could do us a favor as you come in, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube, but also go check out Playback, because after this hour show ends, I'm not going anywhere. Eric's going to go work on his betting content, but I'm going to be here with Josh Engleman right after the show ends. We're going to be hanging out with you guys, sweating games on Playback. We're going to talk about our favorite bets for the game. We've got a lot of giveaways planned, some other fun stuff. And this is a show that we are going to be doing planning to for the entire rest of the season, Monday through Friday, doing post-lock shows over on Playback. It's going to give us the ability to not only continue to do shows after this show ends, but in addition, on Playback, we're going to be able to stream the games on the screen while we're doing the show. So come check us out on Playback after it ends. There's a link for that below. Eric, how are you doing today, man? And are you running into any audio issues or anything? Or are you a little bit more tech savvy than myself?
Yes, by leaps and bounds, in fact. Doing fantastic. Happy to be back from break. Nothing like a 12-game, 10-game if you're playing over on DK. Little slate that we have before us here. Lots of news. Donovan Mitchell just got ruled out here while we were working through our tech stuff, getting all situated, but like very, very excited to have Playback. What was that?
So as I'm making fun of myself for not having my stuff situated correctly, I look over, people in Playback are saying, Eric, we can't hear you. I go look in Playback. You have yourself muted in Playback.
Yeah, because I was supposed to. I was told to. Anyway, is this better? Are you happy now? Are you happy? Does that make you love me?
Never really. But to me, it was just kind of funny. You're like, hey, I've got all my stuff figured out. And then I look in the Playback chat and people are like, we can't hear Eric. And I look, it's like, yeah, you have yourself muted. You tried to play it off like you did it intentionally. That there's no way you had yourself intentionally muted for the first couple minutes there. Listen, I'm worse at this than you. We went through this before. I'm an absolute donkey when it comes to setting on my camera, but we're working through day one. We're going to have this all ready to go and perfected by early next week. So, well, like you mentioned, we've got news that just came in, and actually multiple pieces of news that have come in now. So let's start talking about that, because this was stuff that we're not totally expecting. I don't know about you, Eric, but I was totally under the opinion that Donovan Mitchell was going to play today with no real issues.
I wasn't. Didn't get the
really?
tweet. You got to get the tweet. If you don't get the fucking tweet 2 hours beforehand, Donovan Mitchell tweets every single time that he's going to play. He literally tells you if he's going to play or not. We didn't have that tweet 2 hours before. I was doing everything I could to try to get as much money on the other side of this one as possible, because when you don't get the tweet, Greg, you don't get Donovan Mitchell. Have you not realized that this entire year?
Which players, though, show up to shoot around with an illness and then end up sitting?
Doesn't matter. It's the tweet. You either get the tweet or you don't. He's done it every time he plays, and then he doesn't do it every time he doesn't play. It is consistent. It is like the easiest thing to do on Twitter.com to have an edge. If you don't have money, if you don't have +7.5 Orlando money, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, there we go. Eric's on. I wonder what the line is now, by the way. So let's see. What does it move to?
6.5, I think, is the primary number right now.
The number is currently 5.5. 5.5 is now the current number. So you got a couple of points there of closing line value for yourself there, Eric, because you follow Donovan Mitchell on Twitter. You know exactly what is the tweet? Tell people about what the tweet is.
So basically, he just says like game time. He basically just tweets out every single time that he is about to play in a game when he's questionable on it. You basically know if he's going to be active or if he is not. He has done it the entire season, and you just put the alerts on for the days that he's questionable. Like for me, well, now I just click unfollow, but you just basically have the notify button that you click on Twitter, and you just wait, and then he will either play or not. And he has the hashtag let him know. That's literally the tweet.
All right. So, and now Eric has let us know that Donovan Mitchell, now we all know by now, that Donovan Mitchell is going to be out for today. So let's start to figure out the implications of that. So Eric, with Donovan Mitchell being out today, and remember for the All-Star break, we had guys like Darius Garland, Evan Mobley were on minutes restrictions. Are you expecting that to not be an issue going forward now that we've had the All-Star break come and go?
No.
Interesting. So you still think that Garland will be how restricted then?
Not like so restricted, but like I got to think having a week off, like I mean, some of these guys go on vacation, some of them just do kick it back. Like I don't know. I think not restricted, but like I can't imagine that we're going to see 36 minutes from him here. Like that'd be a little surprising right from the get-go, first game in a week. I don't know. I still think he's going to be a great DFS play. I mean, obviously the usage should be there and the opportunity and the assist rate and all of those lovely things, but 33 minutes? I just don't see him playing 36 in any scenario here in this spot outside of like an overtime where, you know, the 31 becomes 36.
I like how we've got people in the chat, because I've got both chats open. I'm reading everything. So Calvin and Hobo, I see everything you're saying. You think I'm saying that you doubt that I'm reading the chat? You better believe I'm reading everything. I'm reading Discord right now. I'm reading YouTube chat. I'm reading the super chats, and I'm reading the playback chat. Well, also I've got the Twitter feed open here as well. I've got a million screens in front of me to read everything. So Calvin, I absolutely do have it up. According to Calvin, there was a quote put out by, I believe it's Bickerstaff, the coach of the Cavs, that there will be no minutes restrictions for anybody. Let's see if we have some updated projections here, which we do. We have, tell me what you make of this, Eric. Projections updated here over at stochastic.com. And we have Evan Mobley project for 33.5 minutes, Darius Garland for 34.5 minutes. As a result of that, Darius Garland, I think, is the best overall play on DraftKings tonight.
Correct.
Darius Garland is $5,900. And even if he's lightly minutes restricted, which I'm not exactly sure his minutes are going to be like, we have him in for 34.5. You said you don't think he plays 36. Even if we go to 32 minutes, just looking at his point per minute projection we have right now, he would still be one of the best overall plays on. He's only $5,900 on DraftKings is Darius Garland. And then over on FanDuel, we got Garland at $6,500. I think that this is the best overall play we have on the slate now.
I 100% agree with you. So I hope that you didn't take away from me saying, because you just said, do I think there are any restrictions? I think the restriction is the fact that like he had played 36 minutes at the beginning of the season. Like we're talking end of October, beginning November, obviously got dinged up. Obviously they've been cautious with him here coming back because this is a team that if healthy, the Eastern Conference pretty wide open here this season relative to other seasons. I still think Boston's a pretty big juggernaut, but they've ran into postseason problems themselves at times. And, you know, Porzingis is fragile. There are other pieces that, you know, need to continue to perform better in the playoffs, looking at you, Jaylen Brown. But Darius Garland, 36 minutes in the beginning of November. I'm 34.5 is fine. Again, 34 it would be like kind of the high point of where I'd be looking at. I put him in for 33 and I'm still getting to him in just about everything that I do. So whether you put him in for 33 or 34, I don't think it really matters because he's still going to project out as a guy that you get a ton of and somebody who's going to be one of the best plays point per dollar and overall on the slate.
Yeah, and then looking through some of the other players that we have on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then also if you guys are watching over on playback, Jordan's able to do some more screen sharing over there, so he's showing a lot more on screen on playback if you guys click on that link below. But as far as players outside of Darius Garland, is there anybody else that really stands out to you from Cleveland? Because we do have not only Darius Garland benefiting from the absence of Donovan Mitchell, but there's a handful of other players also. Like it's kind of a flat usage bump across the board. I'm pulling up the on-off court numbers here as well. But what else is standing out to you about the Cleveland Cavaliers now?
Yeah, I mean, it's an Orlando spot that's not the easiest. I mean, the other two guys that you're going to be looking at immediately, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. But I think Karis LeVert's probably the one at sub 5K that's the most interesting. We'll see what that starting lineup is. They've basically said he's not going to start in a lot of these kind of scenarios, but that kind of has him avoid some of the usage that would be going towards Mobley, going towards Garland in some of these spots. And with Karis LeVert, you kind of know what you're getting into where, you know, he can close in a lot of these spots. Max Strus at 4,900. Just don't see him being like a ball handler type that's going to get that big of a jump for me. So, I mean, $4,800 point guard shooting guard, that is really appealing to get to. I also have Mobley now projected for right over 40 fantasy points against Orlando. They obviously have Banchero playing, so this game should stay a little bit more competitive. I would feel otherwise without Banchero out there for Orlando, but feel pretty confident that Karis LeVert's going to be the next highest owned guy for me from this team.
Yeah, and also let's go ahead and, like I said, I wanted to pull some of the on-off court numbers here. And if we look at the points per minute rates of everybody on the Cleveland Cavaliers with Donovan Mitchell off the court, leading the way is Evan Mobley this year, 1.32 DraftKings points per minute. Then we've got Jared Allen at 1.18 DraftKings points per minute. Garland at 1.07 on DraftKings. That is 1.01 for him on FanDuel, but he's also quite priced down on both of those sites. So those are the three core, good players from the Cleveland Cavaliers without Donovan Mitchell. Are there any value options or any cheapies off the bench that you think are worth dart plays from Cleveland now?
Yeah, I mean, brought up Karis LeVert. I assume that he's going to be that bench guy. George Niang, 3,100, can always come out and be somebody who can walk into a little bit of usage. And then Sam Merrill, 3K flat. That's going to be very fascinating to see what happens. Oh, good. Brandon Ingram ruled out. Great. So I have to come up with a new nuke of the night. So that's enjoyable. I am looking, Sam Merrill. Shit, this is going to suck. I've never gotten Sam Merrill right in my entire life.
Welcome to the club.
As I'm working through the minutes here, now I'm putting minutes in his bucket, and I'm not liking what's potentially going to come of it. I won't play Dean Wade. I won't play Isaac Okoro in bulk. He's 3,500. I think you can have a couple of shares. Small forward, power forward. It's nice to have the extra positionality. Put him in for 30 minutes, but if you put Sam Merrill in for 19 and a half minutes, which is what we've got right now, that's one thing. If you put him in at 22, this guy is such a headache. 3K flat. I don't think I'm going to do it today, so everybody can enjoy that free square themselves.
So let's start answering some of the questions that everybody has. And I was in the middle of rerunning lineups for Donovan Mitchell being out, and I was really interested to see what my exposures are going to look like. And then what happens? Brandon Ingram gets ruled out. So we'll wait for the projection stuff. They will go back and look at what those are looking like from New Orleans once we get that updated for Brandon Ingram being out. So while we're waiting for that, let's answer some of your guys' questions. We've got super chats to hit on. We've got questions in Discord. And let's see. I'm going to assume that we're starting with the Phil Senzig question, but Jordan, if there are any of these other questions that we did not answer yet, just hit me up in Slack and I'll make sure that we cover all of those right here. But shout out to Chris Williams and Malukar, gifted out 5 YouTube memberships. Guys, we always appreciate your support. And then Phil Senzig says, we back. Who's the runaway driveway shoveler of the night? Ooh. All right.
Well,
so
hang on. There's got to be a blend. You had the dog that pooped on your yard now too, in the freezing cold and the snow. And so there's got to be a combination of like the pooper scooper meets disaster meets like I don't know, like the quick 15 play of the night. I don't know what it might be. It's got to be something
for people, because most people, I don't assume that everybody sees what I tweet. They don't know all the information, but there was a lady who was walking her dog out in front of my house yesterday. Dog shits on my lawn, and then she just doesn't pick it up and just walks down the street. No way in hell am I picking that up. So I went outside, put on a sweatshirt, jogged down the street and tapped her on the shoulder and said, "Excuse me, your dog pooped on my lawn. You didn't pick it up." And she said, "Oh, I'm very sorry. I apologize." She walked back, did a walk, not the typical walk of shame you like to see from an older lady, but she did a walk of shame. She came back to pick up some shit. She then she carried it home and then threw it out. Whatever it is you guys do with your dog. Maybe a lot of you just collect it. I don't know. I've never had a dog for myself. But that was taken care of. Psychopath. And then also, of course, I really am getting screwed by my neighborhood all the time, constantly. So here we've got Phil Senzig. So I guess this is just who's going to screw us tonight, Eric? Who's going to take our money and run with it?
Well, I'm not going to play Sam Merrill, so I'm sure he's going to play 26 minutes and knock down 7 threes. So there's one. I mean, the amount of Zion Williamson that might have just entered the chat is alarming. Let's see. The guy who I think is going to absolutely screw us. Here's the guy I think is going to just absolutely do everything he can to make life miserable. And I think it's probably going to be I just don't see how you don't play Keontae George, but there's so many ways that he plays just 30 minutes, puts up 27, and then you're just mad that you have 67% of him in your lineups. He's come down to sub 50% now. We do have other pieces of value that are showing up. We now have Garland that I feel pretty good about. And Keontae George is a great play. He's 4,700. He's the only guy on the Utah side whose tag went up from last slate, and it didn't go up nearly enough. Obviously, he went completely fireball on the world and knocked down 9 threes. That's not normal, but 4,700 against Charlotte. They're dead last in defensive adjusted net rating this season. So Keontae George is phenomenal, but guess what? I can just see 27 points coming down the pipeline, and I wouldn't want that on tonight's slate. If I knew he was only going to put up 27, which again would be nearly 6x, I would not want it. And yeah, so he's definitely going to screw us somehow, some way. So Keontae George, I can't help myself.
So Keontae George is this is very confusing the way that we've worded it. So it was supposed to be a player who is popular that's going to screw us tonight.
Yeah, probably him. And we're going to play him.
I am going to go with Trey Mann. We have so much point guard value that's opened up. Now, Trey Mann's still projected for 15% ownership. Trey Mann at $5,500. He's a little bit less popular than guys like Darius Garland and Keontae George. These players project far better than him, though. So considering that there's still a fairly decent amount of ownership going to Trey Mann, yeah, that is not somebody who I'm really looking to invest heavily on. That is going to be the most recent person who takes my money and runs with it or screws me and shits on my lawn or something along those lines. Okay. So Trey Mann, he is going to be the runaway driver shoveler of the night play of the day, I believe.
Why am I getting the ice ball? Why am I Sub-Zero right now? Sub-Zero over in playback.
And I'm Scorpion. Well, part of it is because I have given you the frozen symbol there. And then other people are following, so they just don't agree with you. What are you going to do? Look, I've got the fire. You've got the cold. It's just the way it goes sometimes on playback. People get to weigh in on our opinions.
Hey, people, get fucked. You're not nice.
They like Keontae George today. They don't like Trey Mann. They agree with me more than they agree with you. Ace of Spade.
I like Keontae George. I'm just saying he's probably going to screw us. That's what I'm... Whatever. It's fine.
We'll see. Maybe the cold wasn't justified. We'll find out later. You got to watch the show to find out. DK tiers, best options coming to us here from Ace of Spade. Starting with tier 1 here. Do you have lineups built out for tiers? If not, I could just read it.
Of course I do.
All right. Tier 1 for me, SGA.
Yeah, SGA.
All right. Tier 2. Boy, we've got a lot of guys who are looking very similar in tier 2. I'm going to go with Tyrese Halliburton. Who I'm still optimistic he's going to play really big minutes here in the second half of the season. So far, hasn't quite come to fruition in some recent spots, but give me Halliburton in tier 2.
Samesies.
Tier 3, where we have a couple of Clippers players and Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. We've got Şengün, who's coming off a pretty disappointing game to close out the All-Star break. Scotty Barnes, Kyrie Irving. Give me Scotty Barnes in tier 3.
Give me Kyrie Irving by quite a bit, actually.
Tier 4, that is going to be Zion for me now that Brandon Ingram is out.
Definitely Zion Williamson now.
Tier 5, another one where you have a lot of options to go to. We've got Vooch, we've got Cade Cunningham. I'm going to go with Cade here due to his great matchup against the Indiana Pacers.
It is a useful one. Yes, same.
All right. Tier 6, the final one to go to, and another player who's going to be benefiting from an injury. Give me Jared Allen, who does get a little bit of a boost with Donovan Mitchell out.
And I have CJ McCollum.
All right. There we go. Both of them really strong options, by the way. CJ McCollum benefiting from the absence of Brandon Ingram, and then Jared Allen benefiting from the absence there of Donovan Mitchell. So I think both of those pretty strong options. Could definitely make cases for both of them. And then Jacob Dunn has left a super chat. Thank you, Jacob. We appreciate you. He wants to know who our favorite pay-up options are on DraftKings.
Wouldn't you like to know? Zion Williamson, does he qualify now? Seems like a pay-up option.
Yeah.
Seems good.
This is also a slate where there's so many good options in like that mid-range and upper mid-range because of injuries. CJ McCollum you just brought up, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. I do think that we should consider a little bit lower of a price point for pay-up options today because there are guys like Zion should be a pay-up option in this scenario. Evan Mobley should be a pay-up option in this scenario. Darius Garland should be. So what price cutoff do you want to go with? I'll let you just determine the rules. Okay,
let's cut off at 7,500. And then, if we're going to go all the way to the top, do we kind of agree that Jokic, considering this is the dumbest narrative that I might actually think matters, but did you know, Greg, Nikola Jokic has a triple-double against every single team in the NBA besides the Washington Wizards?
I bet he doesn't have one against the Denver Nuggets. Fucking got him. Absolutely got him. Nailed him.
I really don't like you. I wish the All-Star break was 3 months long.
So not for me. It would have gone poorly for me. There's only so
getting
much
iced
time
again. I'm getting
I could
iced again.
Spend my nights without stuff to do. And it's just, I needed content and shows to do a night, or else I would have gone totally off the rails. So Nikola Jokic, so you're going to say he's going to have a triple-double against the Wizards because he never has before?
Just I said it's a narrative I'm not going to buy into. I don't care that much, but I'm definitely betting Nikola Jokic triple-double today. There's no way that I'm not.
So you're saying it's a narrative you don't buy into, but you're betting on it because you don't buy into it?
Can you ask questions in the chat? I think we have a lot of questions coming in from people, and I would like you to ask.
We're trying to get the top 3 pay-up options.
So let's do that. Answered. All right. Zion Williamson is 1 in the category of which I selected. And my second guy is pretty surprising. It's Jalen Brunson at the moment. I got to revamp some stuff here, but Jalen Brunson, I have just way more than 7.3% of here today.
Boy, it's tough because I kind of have to go with Jokic as one of mine. It's such a good matchup for him against the Washington Wizards. I honestly don't even mind the triple-double bet, not of anything to do with which teams he has or hasn't triple-double.
Correct.
It's because he's Nikola Jokic playing against the Washington Wizards.
Correct.
Here. So Jokic is going to be one for me. Zion Williamson. I really want to stretch and give Evan Mobley as another one because I know he's only $6,700 and you said $7,500. I told you I was going to let you make the rules, but there's just no way Evan Mobley should be $6,700 now that he no longer has a minutes restriction and Donovan Mitchell's out.
Those are probably good things.
So that's definitely 3 guys who I like. A lot of options definitely like on this slate. Another super chat here from Shane Daly. He's asking us, Harris or Merrill? Who pisses you off having more? Who pisses you off more having to consider and then top value plays at each DK position? Thanks for the content. So Harris or Merrill, who are you more aggrieved by tonight? I
would be more aggrieved from Harris.
It's Sam Merrill for me. The guy's been a nightmare. He
is a nightmare.
I'm on him and he breaks his wrist halfway through the game. I'm off him. And it's like, hey, look, Sam Merrill's been playing for 3 minutes and he's 5 of 4 from 3 somehow. He's taken 4 threes. He's knocked down 5 of them. He's got 30 million fantasy points. I've never been on the right side. There was like one slate the entire year I've been on the right side of Sam Merrill. Anytime we have to consider Sam Merrill, it's probably going to piss me off. But as for the other part of this question, who are top value plays at each position for DraftKings, Eric? Starting with point guard. Which way are you looking at point guard? Best value.
Garland.
All right, Garland for me as well. Shooting guard.
Benedict Mathurin.
Mathurin's a good one. Small forward. Let's see. I'm going to try to find ones that are different.
Herb Jones for sure now. Forward? For sure, Herb Jones. Herb Jones.
Power forward because it's probably you're going to say.
Yep. Good job. You beat me to it. Congratulations.
Nice. And then at center,
Jokic.
I'm gonna go Walker Kessler.
I hate. So can we pull up the player compare tool, Mr. Jordan Klein? Because I was doing some digging today, and it would appear that Walker Kessler, I was very confused why I wasn't getting to him in my first couple runs. I'm going to rerun some stuff here now, but look at the John Collins versus, like, just on his own team. The John Collins versus Walker Kessler is such an interesting deal to me. Because of the positionality, it's a large slate, 4 different lineup positions. You got to be very careful with some of these centers, I think. And Walker Kessler's a guy I'm just not getting to today. And he's definitely the most nervous, like having, Greg stop me on the street because my dog pooped in his lawn and I didn't pick it up. And then I have a walk of shame play of the day. I might have to go back and go pick up the poop if Walker Kessler completely nukes this slate. Because Walker Kessler is just not going to be in my lineups the same way that he is for the field. And the player compare tool is kind of the main thing that's pointing me in that direction. Big difference between John Collins and him just in terms of like what that head-to-head is showing up at. 61% of the time beating out Walker Kessler and just like a straight-up type of value, which one you should rather have in your lineups. But it all started because in the Sims tool, I wasn't getting to him the same way that I felt the field was, and I wanted to do some other testing on it. And the player compare tool is just kind of a quick way for me to kind of realize, oh, there's 4 different lineup positions for John Collins. There's multiple ways where he's a better play and works out better. Now, Walker Kessler, he's cheaper. If they put up the same number, you're going to want to have Walker Kessler. But I think on this slate with so much value without Donovan Mitchell, I think it's going to be really hard for me to want to click on a chalky Walker Kessler where the minutes still aren't there on a consistent basis. And we see Charlotte try to go small with Grant Williams to close out a lot of these games. That just screams to me John Collins at the 5.
Hey, I don't mind that as a pivot. I think that is totally reasonable. I I'd still have to rerun my lineups for the most recent
it's just
involving Brandon. I've had to rerun my lineups the entire time since we've started the show, just constantly. Lineups running contest generator, simulate slate. Somebody got ruled out. I've got questions to answer. Come back. And then it's just the same sort of situation on repeat. But at least, just from a logic standpoint, it seems to make sense. Is getting to John Collins as a pivot there. Let's see what else we have as far as super chats here. And then also, guys, want to shout out that not only do we have our playback show going on after this, but also we're with the NBA now. And a couple of benefits to our partnership here at the NBA is you could sign up for NBA League Pass using the link that we have below. You do get 15% off when you sign up with our link. And that is going to get you an NBA League Pass. So not only do you get to watch NBA games with League Pass, but also when we're on playback later, we are able to give out some free League Pass memberships. We're not going to be able to do it for everybody. And you guys can watch any game in the NBA alongside us when you are watching on playback. We're also going to be focusing a lot on the national TV game, which all of you should be able to watch tonight. We're going to be building a same game parlay for it on the post-lock show. And then afterwards, we'll be sweating the game, watching alongside with you guys. But if you've been looking to get the NBA League Pass for the second half of the year, less than $50, sign up using our link and watch all the NBA games for the rest of the year. Sweat all your lineups out watching the NBA. So, Eric, the next question that we have here, it is coming to us from Riley Cooper 14. He wants to know any love for Murray, Jamal Murray. And then he says the Joker voice. So I think he wants you to do a Joker impression. It's been a while since we got a super chat requesting an impression from you.
Oh, I love chaos. My father was a drinker. Yeah, no Jamal Murray for me today. Point guard, too valuable. If he puts up 60 against Washington, is it all that surprising? No. But I'm still not convinced that we're going to see like full minutes from him in a lot of these spots. Again, they've let him go completely nuts here. But now with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope back, Reggie Jackson just playing like backup minutes here, chance of a blowout. There's a lot of ways where I just don't think clicking on Jamal Murray is what I'm going to be doing on this slate. If you have a pretty chalky lineup, which is not that difficult to make a lineup today, and you have a point of differentiation of Jamal Murray, I'm not going to go out of my way to scoff at it, but God, is there good value at point guard today?
Yeah, that's really the biggest problem for me. I agree with you there, Eric. It's really the opportunity cost, right? Because Jamal Murray at his price point, he's not great. He's not unplayable either. But then you start to look like, all right, well, if I'm loading up on Jamal Murray, the opportunity cost, like it's a spot I'm losing for Keontae George, losing a spot for, Darius Garland that you could plug in. So with that in mind, too much opportunity cost for me to really want to be getting there to Jamal Murray. Next question. What is Mike Jones's cell phone number? 281-330-8004.
Get Mike Jones up on the low because Mike Jones about to blow. Back then, hold damn woman. Now I'm hot hose all on me. Back then, hold damn woman. Now I'm hot hose all on me.
There we go. See, it's very important that you guys leave us these, little nuggets in your super chat so we could play along with it. But Phil Senzik, thank you for asking Mike Jones' cell phone number. And he wants to know, who's the lotion play of the night? Who's going to put the ball in the bucket tonight, Eric?
The lotion of the skin. Let's see. It'd be funny if I said Jamal Murray after that rant. That'd be hilarious. I am pretty positive. It's just got to be Darius Garland. Darius Garland, welcome back to our good graces for one day at least. Going to be very exciting to have a better than a fantasy point per minute guy who averages, 18 a game here, playing more of his normal minutes. And, 25 burger incoming, 30 burger incoming. Maybe CJ McCollum could be kind of, no, we're going to stick to our guns here. Darius Garland, lotion play of the night.
Yep. I don't know how it can't be Darius Garland for me. I've already called him my favorite overall play on the slate. He's sub 6K on DraftKings. He's 6,500 on FanDuel. Donovan Mitchell's out. Honestly, even if Donovan Mitchell was in, I was going to be playing some of Darius Garland at this price point. Now Mitchell's out. Just kind of a no-brainer for me. Darius Garland, lotion play of the night. And almost had us caught up on super chats. We just had one come in from Thomas Ryan, who first, Thomas Ryan says, Eric, he shot a 68 today. What do you make of that? Let's go.
Well, that's better than I shot on Saturday. That's for sure. It's weird. Golf is one of those games, man, where sometimes you have it and you just take it for granted. And you're just like, oh, well, I could have, shot 65 today. And then there are times when you're just out there grinding to do anything that remotely resembles golf, trying to hit the center of the face one frickin' time in 18 holes. That was me on Saturday. So again, 68, lovely number. Enjoy it, my friend.
All right. And then the other part of Thomas Ryan's question, he wants to know, who are our favorite DraftKings plays at every single position for the night, and should be like 10, 15 seconds away from me having a sim run finished here with all the most recent updated news. So Thomas, I'm going to get right back to your question. I'm going to go into Discord so we can answer some of the questions we have in here. And then once my sim is done being run, I can tell you who I got the most of at each position, which would be, just after we answer a question or two from Discord. And also, even though we have the post-lock show after this, don't worry, for everybody in Discord, still one of the perks of having a Stokastic membership is you get access to our Discord channel. I'm going to be answering questions. I'm going to be pulling double duty. We're going to be doing the show here, going to be shopping up with Josh, going to be watching games, looking over some bets, but also going to be answering Discord questions all the while as well. So if you do sign up to a Stokastic package, you get access to our Discord. And now's the time to sign up because today's the last day of our 2-for-1 deal, where if you sign up for our data package, if you sign up for our Sims Days package, you sign up for the Sims Max package, you buy 2 months now, and you're going to get 1 month for free. All the links with the promo codes are down below in the description box. And actually, that there gave me just enough time to get all my lineups finished being updated. So for me at point guard, no real surprise. I have the most exposure to Darius Garland. How about yourself, Eric?
Same.
Let's look at the shooting guard spot where I'm getting to the most of Benedict Mathurin.
Same.
Small forward. Benedict Mathurin also has small forward eligibility. Yep. Another small forward I'm getting to a good amount of, pretty well overweight to the field. Trey Murphy the third. Somebody benefits from the absence of Brandon Ingram out with the illness. I can't believe that this is a relatively contrarian option for the slate and Trey Murphy.
Herb Jones.
Both of them make sense. I'm overweight to both Herb Jones as well as Trey Murphy, benefiting from the same sort of situation. Power forward, Evan Mobley for me.
Evan Mobley.
And now let's go ahead and look at the center spot where I'm getting to the most of Evan Mobley, followed by Walker Kessler on the cheap end. On the high end, I get to Nikola Jokic a good amount at center. How about yourself? Who's your most rostered center?
Evan Mobley, then Nikola Jokic.
All right. Thank you guys very much for the super chat there, Thomas Ryan. And then another one here from Jorge Giacomi. Who are our top 3 must-have players in the DK 20 max? I'm going to say Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, and Keontae George. There's a pretty big drop-off after Mobley and Garland. I'll say Keontae. Actually, because of the positionality, Benedict Mathurin.
There you go.
Anybody else you would add to that? Top 3 must-plays in 20 max?
I'm going to go, Garland, Mathurin, George. Those are the 3 low pieces of hanging fruit. Zion Williamson has to be played. I have nearly 100% of this guy, and I don't love it. But you have to play him in 20 max.
I agree. Got to get to Zion. I have Zion in 46% of my lineups and uploading all of these right now. And then one more super chat. Phil Senzig has one. He wants to know, where is Usher at 7 o'clock? He wants the nuke. Where is Usher at 7 o'clock? Is that a reference I'm missing? I don't know Usher's music all that well.
Take that, rewind it back. Usher got the beat to make your booty go. I don't know.
Thank you.
Jordan Klein bringing it.
Can I don't want to be a party pooper. People loved Usher at the Super Bowl. He was funny. I thought all of the other performers were better than Usher. It wasn't really his fault. He was doing a lot. He's dancing. His dancing was better than his singing was.
I will say, as somebody who, I just rap all the time for party trick stuff because I'm like the worst rapper on earth. And then also I just know a lot of rap from that's all I listened to in high school.
Yeah. Well, it's your upbringing.
Just getting at a party and getting that rap opportunity. I felt like my whole life was culminated to that point. And that alone made it worth it. The entire performance, knowing that I got to do the entire Ludacris rap in front of my friends and family. That really was what did it for me. And so if you don't have that nostalgia, Greg, I can't help you. I'm sorry you weren't one of the cool kids in high school.
I thought that Ludacris was fantastic. Once again, I thought Usher's dancing was really good. The sing, I felt he was out of breath halfway through it because he had a lot of shit going on. And then the other people's vocals sounded better. Just my own personal opinion. And oh my God, more super chats just piling in.
Everybody wants
Riley
the
Cooper,
nuke too.
14 wants to know is Oki at 3,500? Oki.
I don't know.
Who is Oki? Okiki?
Steve Aoki?
Okoro maybe?
Isaac Okoro?
I assume he must mean Okoro.
Josh Okogie?
Oki, O-K-I-E. I assume he means Okoro. I have some exposure to him.
There's you and me.
There's other value options that are like better than Isaac Okoro, but he's in some of my lineups.
Yeah, that's the right way of putting it. Isaac Okoro, I said he's an idiot that I can tolerate being somebody who just shows up because of small forward eligibility.
Small forward eligible, 3,500. We've got him projected for 19 fantasy points. And I don't expect there's going to be more value that opens up post-lock. But yeah, I think that he's somebody who, if you're in need of value at that position, you can get to him at 3,500. Merrill Peak said that we missed his $5 super chat. I'm sorry. I thought I've been reading all these off. I mean, I'm still going through all of them. Was that maybe... Oh, you know what? I thought that was a super chat from the last show. My apologies there, Merrill. We owe you one. We owe you a super chat here. Didn't want you to have to leave two there. But he wants to know Evan Fournier or Jose Alvarado tonight, Eric.
If you made me at gunpoint, it would be Jose Alvarado, but that would be the only way that I think I would roster any massive amount of him. I have 4%. Okay, Jose Alvarado. Definitely not Evan Fournier.
Yep, it is Alvarado for myself as well. And then we got DC24 says, are we okay with Strus as a pivot for Mather on DK? So Strus is somebody who definitely benefits from the absence of Donovan Mitchell. I don't get to a ton of him, though, because I have so much exposure to other Cleveland players like Darius Garland, like Evan Mobley. So I'm not going to have lineups that just have like 4 or 5 Cleveland Cavaliers players. So I strongly do prefer Mathurin, but if it's something where maybe you already have other Pacers players, you're just looking to get off the Mathurin chalk, I think you could make the pivot to Strus. I just wouldn't do it if you already have like Garland, Mobley, Jared Allen, stuff like that.
Okay, we got the normal Knicks starting lineup. Good.
And the next question we have here is from Riley Cooper 14. He wants to know, is Aaron Gordon a good pivot? So I assume he's asking us
Aaron Gordon
to get to as a pivot, as opposed to getting to... Actually, I don't even know who he's pivoting off of, though.
I don't know. We got news that Eric Gordon's going to start, but I don't think he's going to show up for me anyway.
Aaron Gordon or Eric Gordon? I assume it's Aaron Gordon who's Eric Gordon.
Yeah. I have no interest in Aaron Gordon. Maybe like there's not even like a late slate for it because they have the 2-gamer for the 10 p.m. Eastern time games, but I would have more interest in Eric Gordon between the two, and he's 4,800 with just shooting guard eligibility. Not going to show up for me.
All right, so we've got all these. Every time I think that we've got all the super chats answered, another one comes.
Another one.
Mathurin and Boncaro versus Miller and Smith for a DK GPP. So a 2v2. That's Mathurin and Boncaro for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's do it here. Nuke of the night time. First time post All-Star break. We haven't gotten to do the nuke of the night yet. So many questions. Appreciate all the support for you guys. And don't forget, even though the slate locks in 12 minutes, the show is not going to be ending because myself and Josh are doing a post-lock show over on Playback. There's a link for that below, and throw that into the YouTube chat as well, so you guys could go check it out. Going to be a totally free show to watch over there. And also, we're going to be talking some bets over there, talking late swap as it comes across. So go check that out as well. Eric, who's your nuke of the night tonight?
Did we not do the video? Do we have a video?
I'm just trying to hurry it along.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair. I just, it is what it is. Thought I'd give myself the... Oh, there it comes. There we go. There goes my penis leaving my body. Phrasing, Eric. Phrasing.
There we go.
All right, friends.
Time to grow back over the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Eric, who's your nuke of the night?
You're such a dick. My favorite thing to do on these slates, friends, we have eternal amounts of value. And you know what happens every single time? You go in the boom bust tool, and you'll see the optimal percentage going up for Luka, for Jokic, for Luka, for Jokic, because you have eternal value. You should be playing the highest projected plays on the slate. Now, there are weird slates where they only put up 50, and then all of a sudden you're just drawing completely dead. But friends, Luka Doncic is going to get completely forgotten at the point guard position purely because of all of the Keontae George, all of the Darius Garland. But guess what? You can roster 3 of them. CJ McCollum, another guy that I'm going to get to a lot of But you need to be overweight to a Luka Doncic on this kind of a slate because he's 7.5% owned. His optimal percentage is now pushing up over 10%. And if he goes for 75, 80, guess what? I don't care how much Keontae George and CJ McCollum and these cheap point guards you have. You're going to need the 75 from Luka. And this is an awesome opportunity, not necessarily to flip the build, but just incorporate the ROI boost. Even so, the Sims tool gave me 44% Luka Doncic in my top 150 lineups right from the get-go. I gave a little bit of a boost here to get him up over the 50% line. Luka Doncic, the nuke of the night.
I mean, there's so many ways we could go here. So many different directions. I'm well overweight to Luka as well. I have him in about a third of my lineups here, Eric. I'm going to go to Trey Murphy III. That's somebody who's projected for barely over 10% projected ownership on Trey Murphy III. Brandon Ingram's out. There's other players who are going to be more popular on the New Orleans Pelicans in the absence of Brandon Ingram. I think Trey Murphy III is getting slept on. And I think the Trey Murphy the first, Trey Murphy the second, they're all going to be celebrating a big game from Trey Murphy III tonight, who I think is potential to have a really big game in modest ownership in the absence of Brandon Ingram. So give me Trey Murphy III. And now let's get to your guys' questions in Discord, starting with the question here from, let's see, Bear35. Anybody worth boosting in the Sims tool? I was earlier in the day, but then we got so much news that has already dropped that there's nothing I'm really significantly waiting on that's going to make me think I need my lineups to be more flexible. I did want to get to a little bit more Zion than the Sims gave me, so I did give him a little bit of an up boost just so he would show up in more lineups. But I mean, beyond that, Sabonis is questionable, but he's not on the main slate, so it's not really a concern. Is there anybody that you're boosting, Eric?
Yeah, I just talked about it. Luka and Jokic, just to make sure that I'm getting like the appropriate amount that I want of them. We have so much value, so many guys that are getting mixed in between the Cleveland value, the New Orleans value, stuff that's shown up a little bit later here. And as a result, just want to make sure that I am overweight to both of them significantly, because it just feels like getting the right value in conjunction with them having neutral or above average games is going to work out really, really nicely for you on this slate. So Luka, boosting him, and then a little bit of Jokic, even just going from like the 40% to like 50-ish%. So nothing crazy here on either of them, but don't forget that boy told you kick that dirt off your shoulder. It's Jokic time.
Did you build out any FanDuel lineups? If not, I could just answer this question. Nope. Rico Rod 1980 wants to know the players I'm getting the most exposure to at each position over on FanDuel. And I could tell you who it is for me over on FanDuel at point guard. Darius Garland at shooting guard. Benedict Mathurin at small forward. That is also Benedict Mathurin. So I am going to go to instead Herb Jones at small forward. Power forward, that is Evan Mobley for me. And then at center, John Collins showing up in a lot of FanDuel lineups that I built. So John Collins over at center on FanDuel. Marquee Sports is asking us SGA or Fox for tonight's NBA slate. Are you getting yourself some more of SGA or Fox, Eric?
I don't think I had a ton of either. I had 2% SGA earlier. Let me find here. Well, Fox isn't on the DK slate.
On the main slate.
So yeah, to answer the question, SGA at 2% of him. I have 4% SGA, so that's chill.
So whatever slate you're playing that has both of them on it, I'm going to tell you that what you should be doing is getting to more of De'Aaron Fox because Sabonis is questionable. I think Sabonis plays, but who knows if he's going to be 100%. But enough to have me lean towards Fox. He also locks later. It gives you a little bit more flexibility, but yeah, not on the, he isn't actually on the slate there is De'Aaron Fox. So I'm curious where you're playing Marquee Sports where they both are on it. But that aside,
yeah,
wants to know also, he wants to know, are we negative boosting anybody? Was there anybody you downgraded to get less of in the Sims, Eric?
Walker Kessler.
So there's Walker Kessler there.
I have one share of Walker Kessler in 150 lineups. Ooh. I'm not playing 150 lineups, but my top 150, I have one share of him.
And then we got another super chat that came in from RBL. I feel bad because RBL just asked me who my favorite plays are at each position on FanDuel. I just answered that in Discord. So here's what I'm going to do. I'll tell you the top 2 most roster players that have each position on FanDuel. So hopefully this will be helpful to you as well there, RBL. But point guard, Garland and Sexton. Shooting guard, Mathurin and Sexton. Then if I go down a little bit farther, I'll throw Max Strus into the mix. Small forward, Mathurin, Strus, Herb Jones. Kevin Durant, I think, is a very, very good play on FanDuel. Not somebody to really get to on DraftKings. So Kevin Durant with Bradley Beal out is somebody you could consider at small forward on FanDuel. Power forward, Evan Mobley, Zion Williamson, center, John Collins, and Jonas Valanciunas. Lots of players from the Pelicans that are looking pretty good here. And it looks like we're all caught up on Discord questions. Let me make sure there wasn't anything I missed here, but doesn't look like I did. So once again, guys, if you haven't done it, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to be at lock in 7 minutes, but not going anywhere. I'm going to be hanging around for at least another hour after this. Josh and I are going to be doing a post-lock show. We've got other guests planned to prop in. We've got some fun stuff planned. And one thing I'm really looking forward to is going to be a parlay that we're going to do together as a team for the Mavs and Suns game. They are going to be playing in the TNT game, so national TV game. And if you guys are playing over on FanDuel, at least for betting, they do have a same game parlay free bet that you could use to do. Sweat free. It's going to be different person to person, whatever the dollar amount is, but that's something we're going to do for fun. We're going to build a same game parlay there because it's risk free there. So that's something we're going to be doing on the post lock show, as well as all the giveaways that we have planned. But now, Eric, we've got 6 minutes left to go. I'm curious, is there anything that you're waiting on that you think could end up changing your lineups post lock?
Pelicans starting lineup. Pay close attention to that because we've seen Ingram out at times. They've done different stuff. One guy that I just want to throw out there because I kind of want to have a plan in place is Najee Marshall. There are ways against Houston that they might end up utilizing him a little bit more. And considering his price point, considering some of the Utah exposure, considering other stuff, we shouldn't have a problem being able to get to some if there is that surprise start from him. But trying to be careful with like an Isaac Okoro at 3,500, making sure that I'm not getting crazy amounts of him simply so that if there is something where Najee ends up showing up there, 3,300, I'm going to have some exposure there. Otherwise, things that I'm waiting on here. We got the news Eric Gordon's going to start for Phoenix, going down the list of things. No, I don't think there's anything else crazy that's going to be showing up here, but the Pelicans starting lineup, that's the thing you want to keep in mind for the next hour or so until that game locks.
Yeah, there is definitely a chance that if the Pelicans do something weird with their starting lineup, it could definitely, like, who knows? Like, do they just say like, hey, we're going to start like Najee Marshall randomly or something? We've seen weird starting lineups from them at times where, you know, like I've been really convinced it's like, hey, they're surely going to start like Jose Alvarado because a bunch of guys are out, and then they don't. They go a different direction. So yeah, there's definitely stuff that we should be on the lookout with as far as the Pelicans go. And so a couple questions just came in Discord. A very important one from Kenny Wayne 256. Many would argue the most important question we've gotten of the entire show.
It's going to be trolling me. Great.
No, absolutely not at all. Kenny Wayne wants to know, Eric, who's the exotic play of the night? I told you it was going to be important.
I hate it here.
Really quick, by the way, I'll let you think about that one for a second before you answer, because I know it's really important. But Jamal Parker wanted to know, why do the Sims say there's no NBA late swap? Because the slate hasn't started yet. So you can't actually late swap until the slate starts. So like in 4 minutes, when everything locks, then you'll be able to late swap there. Eric, have you put more thought into your exotic play of the night?
No, I hate you.
All right. That is going to be Walker Kessler for me.
Cool.
All right. Boy, Eric just does not like to be helpful here. Race Fan 22, thoughts on Buddy Hield as a last man in on DraftKings?
No. So expensive now. And now you got Kyle Lowry going to play in some capacity. Pretty much everything working against what Buddy Hield's minutes were. And you're buying so high at 6,700. I can't do it today against the Knicks.
Let's see what else we have. One more question in the Discord from Swanson79. He says the Pacers go over the total almost 70% of the time. When you bet the over with Halliburton maybe playing more, I have to look at what Halliburton's prop numbers are to really answer for you. Well, let's pull this up really quick. So Tyrese Halliburton, I'm just going to use FanDuel as the first book I looked at here. Halliburton's over-under for points is 20.5. His over-under for assists is 11.5, plus money on the over. Let's see. Tyrese Halliburton against the Detroit Pistons. I don't mind over 20.5 points, especially when we're going to consider that Tyrese Halliburton potentially will have no sort of minutes restriction for the rest of the, like, I don't think they're going to regularly be playing him 40 minutes because of his health issues or anything like that. But I do think we could get to his season average. And for the year, Tyrese Halliburton averages 32 minutes per game, 21.8 points per game. His over-under is 20.5 points. We think that he's going to play a full allotment of minutes in a plus matchup against the Detroit Pistons. If his baseline is 21.8 points per game, I think that makes sense. If you want to take a side of that, Halliburton, the over, no issues with that. How about for yourself?
All the things you said running through my head.
All right. I love it. Any final thoughts that we have in the last 90 seconds? Anything that you didn't touch on that you wanted before we finish up?
No, I think we absolutely crushed it out of the park. I mean, here's the thing. This is a phenomenal slate to be able to late swap, to be able to... the Pelicans starting lineup is going to matter. But overall, we're going to get exposure to a lot of great spots here, whether it's Cleveland. I know Orlando, again, not the team you want to have on the other side of it, but these salaries are so cheap. Getting exposure to that and having the Sims tool basically weed out some of the bad lineups, we're in a really, really good place. And hopefully you watching the show, you were able to get something out of this, and you watching on playback. Hopefully I continue to be Sub-Zero because I really kind of enjoyed that.
One more time, because Kenny Wayne asked the question again. Were you any final thoughts on your exotic play of the night? He's very upset. He
Luka
Doncic. He's
Doncic.
like, hey, I'm in
there you
Discord.
go. Luka.
I'm paying for this membership only so I can get my exotic play of the night from Eric, and he doesn't want to answer it.
No, because Jordan Klein just keeps flashing me as Joe Exotic every freaking time that we do this bit, and it's just killing me. Absolutely.
It's what the people want, though, Eric.
Playback. God, there it is. Unbelievable.
Guess what? It's 7 o'clock. This is normally when the show ends, but not tonight. We've got the playback show going. Jordan, who is just absolutely dropping it into the Discord channel right there. Guys, come join us at playback. We've got Jordan's dropping in that link. You guys can't miss it. If you're in the YouTube chat and you want to get over to playback, you can't miss it. Jordan's dropping the link, and I see the viewers, they're starting to pile in here. So, guys, come check it out. I'm going to get Josh Engleman in here in a second. Eric's going to record his betting video. And, guys, always check out Eric's betting video. It is Eric's leans, likes, locks. It's all the best betting information that you guys can get. I'm telling you. I got to put Eric over here. There is no better all-encompassing NBA betting video you're going to find on YouTube or really anywhere else than Eric's video. So check out the Odd Shopper channel to get that every single day. Eric's going to go record that in case, because I wanted to make sure I bring that up, because or else people are going to say, hey, how come Eric's not doing the show? He's working on that content. I'm sure there's going to be times we get Eric on the show as well, but just wanted to do that, guys. Go check out Eric's video. If you haven't done it on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and come check us out at Playback. Have a great night, everybody.